am especially pleased because this is the first meeting that a group that I work with the Oschner Advisory Board, and we have a representative from Oschner today. Would you go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody, because you're new to us, except you're from the community, so everybody would love. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you mind?
You did, but I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine. Hi, everyone. My name is Dwan Navarre. I am the new Community Outreach Coordinator for St. Mary, Oschner St. Mary. So I will be in the community organizing events, health fairs, screenings, and putting on seminars either at the hospital or at an off-site campus. So if y'all have any questions about anything, please let me know. We have a seminar coming up on the 29th of September. Matter of fact, it's a diabetes seminar. We have Dr. Dwan Sarmiento who's going to be speaking. If anyone is interested in coming, listen to him speak about cholesterol or diabetes, y'all can let me know and I can push our name down.
Okay.
Thank y'all for allowing me to come speak.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Okay. All right, we're going to introduce ourselves, please, right, starting from here.
Henry, Office Manager, Port of Morgan City.
Lou Tamporello, City of Morgan City.
Oh, Catherine Holcomb, St. Mary XL.
Monica, thank you so, St. Mary, XL.
Joyce Merrill, Mr. Charlie Rig Museum.
Duval Arthur, Mayor Berwick.
Brad Rackley, Stevens River. Kevin Chauvin, Lincoln Park. Sorry, that's it.
Sam Jones, work for the government.
Provo, Morgan City.
Vera Jellicky, Rotary International.
Beth Shaftstone, St. Mary Chamber.
Evan Boudreaux, St. Mary Economic Development.
Serena Garrett, I work for B&G Food Enterprises. I am the upcoming Vice President for Kiwanis, and I'm also on the board of HERA. Colleen Askew, Berwick Councilwoman and business owner.
Sheila Hugh, South Louisiana Community College.
Alice Pecoraro, St. Mary X.
And Virgil Allen with the Rig.
Excellent, excellent. And we have on the line Dean Duplantis from Hellenic, Jenny Scheck-Snyder from Nicholls State, and Pam Tozan. So we welcome everyone to our meeting. We're going to get into our biggest issue. I guess number one on our agenda is an update on the LANERR. And before we dive deep into it, I just really want to say how grateful we are to a couple of board members for St. Mary XL. You know Margaret and Kelly, Margaret Theriault and Kelly Boudreaux. Well, Kelly, since the last time we talked, she actually was able to testify in a congressional committee about all the town hall work that was done in this community to make LANERR the appropriate selection for the Atchafalaya zone. So it was a big deal. NOAA was very excited to know that the efforts were recognized, and now we're into the records at the federal level. So we're really excited about that. Also, we're going to start looking at what is called a management plan process, because nothing takes place overnight. It usually takes a good little deal of planning. So we're going to look at that. We're going to talk about Friends of the LANERR, which is a nonprofit, and how they work to make things happen. But we also really want to emphasize that things have to be shovel ready, and there's a lot of things that we can do around our communities to make sure we put our house in order. So just to kind of see where we are going, I thought I would pull up a slide, just a picture, because one of the things that we were like challenged by was, first of all, to start looking at other sites. Like, you know, it's nice to know that y'all have been nominated, but also, not only because you've been nominated, but what does it look and sound like? And we were given a recommendation to start looking at the Aransas Pass Management Plan. And this is how thick the Aransas Pass Management Plan is. So this is the kind of document you have to have ready by the end of your planning. And so to kind of take the cliff notes, I pulled out a couple of handouts just to show like what a NERR looks like. So it's not just always a pretty little box. It's, it can be jagged, it can be rugged, and it can include many different things. So in Texas, this is what the LANERR looks like in and around the San Antonio Bay. And it includes multiple kinds of landowners, not just always, particular, it's got to be this. It involves a lot of people coming together. So I thought I'd just show that so that we kind of know where we're headed right now and as we start this planning process. And what I liked about this last little bit of just giving us kind of a really quick overview of where we're headed, it can involve multiple facilities. It doesn't all have to be just pushed into one and there's this one thing. It can span out and it can include multiple facilities. So I thought we'd start with that, just as we begin to say, what might a LANERR look and sound like in our area now that we've been nominated? So with that, it almost became a challenge. The challenge was, can we put together something to, from a local level, show what a LANERR might look like? So here's what we thought. Can St. Mary XL do it? Well, yes, we've got the freedom because we're a nonprofit. And because you're a nonprofit, you're responsible to your board members, but we could start saying, like really putting heads together, input from the groups, because we've been meeting for a long, long time. We talk about what we'd like to see, how we'd like the area to grow, how we'd like to keep our young people. So with all that in mind, if we do it right, and NOAA, at the end of the day, has to affirm that we do it right, because if we don't do it right, then they're just going to send it back. It's not going to get approved. We're just going to delay ourselves. We're just going to keep not coming together, not collaborating, not recognizing that there's been a lot of effort and a lot of, pain and sorrow in so many ways as we watch our kids leave. We got to give them something, and we got to keep growing, because that's what ULI said when we brought them in. Keep your kids and work along the river to keep them. So that's what we're trying to do. So we said, we can wait till they come down and say it's going to be X, Y, and Z, but there's nobody that knows the area like we know the area. And this is no way, shape, or form carved in stone. It's a starting point. So we are moving from a starting point. And the nice thing about it is, you and I both know it didn't start yesterday. Somebody called us on the phone and they said something to the effect that, y'all are going to have this. It's like, look, let me just remind you, we didn't wake up yesterday and just want this thing. It's been a long time in coming. And there's been so many people across the years that have, thank you so much, Tori, that have made this a part of it. So we visited back with the Atchafalaya Gateway people that worked in the 90s. Some of you on the committee, I know I was a teacher back then when that was going on. So that tells you how long ago that was going on. And then what was so interesting is there's books and books and books that talk about the Atchafalaya, that was a lot of good work. And they even got all the way to the point of a proposed Atchafalaya Interpretive Center. That work from the Gateway Commission resulted in this. It was during Sandra Thompson's time, during Governor Blanco's time, but then with the change in sometimes just funding sources, administrations, the priority didn't become the reality. And on the other end, we know that Dr. Twilley and his group has put in over 30 years worth of work on the Wax Lake Delta. And we also know that NERR was looking for a delta to nominate. So it's been 30 years in the making. But the nice thing is we've got some great leaders. And even though June 15th, the governor officially selected the Atchafalaya Coastal Basin the Atchafalaya Coastal Basin. I love the way that press release was framed as the preferred site for Louisiana to be added to the NOAA's NERR system. That was in June. Within the month, look, it's just a month later, the leaders were ready, hearing what's there, where do we go, what can we do, how do we move this forward. And at that meeting with the leaders, they talked about alternatives. And, that word, it's like, that's, we're all first timers in this. What's an alternative? What does an alternative look like? What might that look like here in the Atchafalaya? So we just began to talk and to think and to say, what might that look and sound like? And we also, tried to be informed. Like we made calls, we talked to people, we chatted with the state, we did some things. So we started looking at, what are these alternatives? Because that sounds like it's important. So anyway, this is how we put alternatives together and how the state was encouraging, or at least said, okay, all right, so alternative one would be the Morgan City to Wax Lake Calumet, south to Four League Bay. That would be an alternative. Another alternative might be alternative one here, plus all the way to Marsh Island, Sycamore Point. That's an alternative. Another alternative, maybe alternative 3, would be you take alternative 1 and then you add the McElhenney Audubon. And then another alternative is you can go north. You can go Morgan City to Wax Lake, Calumet, plus all the way in the basin to I-10. So those are alternatives. And our linear could possibly be any of those. So what do you do with that? Well, we said we're not familiar with a lot of those areas. We're not familiar, but we are very, very familiar with alternative 1. So let's just start there and let's imagine it. So alternative 1, because alternative 1 is in every one of those alternatives. It's alternative 1 plus all those other things. And then based on the reading and based on what you got to include in these plans, we have to hit some markers, and those markers are research, you got to hit education, you got to hit training, you got to hit stewardship. So then you start saying, well, the research has to be on Delta building. It has to be on Delta building. And, we could put a lot of verbiage in there, but, a floating classroom or something out there at Wax Lake, that's a pristine Delta. So we understand that we're not the experts on that, but we want to recognize that you got to have that as a component. Education, well, K through 12, we know a lot about that. So we talked about immersing those who would like to learn, because that could be adults and all the way to young youth, immersing them into exhibits and nearby shore and water habitats. And that could be done through classrooms, floating classroom, boardwalks, hiking, biking trails, interpretive centers, resilience labs, rig museums, lighthouses, Carillion towers. I mean, we've left a few things off, but there's more. There's lots of things there. The other element that you must hit is you must hit training. And that's resource and skill building to decision makers, because, there's a continual turnover in decision makers, and decision makers don't always come in with a lot of expertise in coastal decision making. So it's always good to get together and to train. And that, could be done in interpretive centers right here in the EOC, South Louisiana Community College. There's lots of assets there. And stewardship, provide resources for managers, promote land conservation, conduct cleanup and recycling programs, assist with animal rehab and recovery programs. And then we thought about some of the things that we have. Kelly and Margaret have already started on Friends of LANERR. We also know the Green Foundation offers extensive property in Patterson for the youth center and other youth to enjoy nature. We know the Boy Scouts of America is very involved in Atchafalaya. We know St. Mary Excel. We also know the Community Foundation of Acadiana, Morgan City Affiliate, and H&B Young. Those are great assets in our community. So we're just putting it together because this is going to be due, and it's like we want some input into it. We should, because we know the local. So also, it's important to start looking at existing facilities. We know right now we've got a very beautiful Cajun Coast Visitors and Convention Bureau, a great asset, great facility. We also know that we have great waterfronts in the Morgan City and Berwick area. We've got a great rig museum, Southwest Reef Lighthouse. We've got great assets. Those exist right now today. They could be part of this. That's a possibility. That's a real possibility. We also have a vacant educational facility. We've got a big, huge, historical, took care of the education of people in the area for a very long time. Once used as a high school, has also been used as an elementary school. So that's an asset that, is an existing facility. But how do we tie maybe existing assets into linear use? Well, Cajun Coast Visitors and Convention Bureau, it looks like they have done some planning on possibly some kiosks for viewing the assets of the area, possibly a trailhead for the hikers and bikers on the soon-to-be completed biking trail through Morgan City. It provides a micro sampling of ecosystem for boardwalk to Lake Palourde, because there's some people, they're not going to be able to get out there. As you age, or maybe as you have young children, that might be enough of a sampling, depending on, the realistic realities that you have as you age and maybe as the young. So that's a great sampling of an ecosystem. And it can also, they've got some plans for audio education, and it offers just a rudimentary offering of habitat and wildlife. I always like to walk around there and see what actually pops their head up, and I think, we can plan a few more things in there to make every walk around that building a great. And there could be some opportunities for photos there, but it's, it could be tied to linear use. It could also offer some offices possibly for some administration part of this. It could. We don't know if it will, but it could. We also know that we've got a great museum here. Sometimes there possibly could be some boat launches from the Mr. Charlie. We also have a plan from Berwick, not just the Southwest Reef Lighthouse, but they're bringing in a second lighthouse. I'm not sure all the people in Baton Rouge and the planning area know what the mayor is planning. So he also hosts a tour through the Teche where they have docking along Berwick sometimes to offload people. So, you enter, you exit for tours of the rig, this resilience lab that's being thought through, eating options along the river, and then there is, we heard in our last meeting, Mr. Stephen Swiber talk about a residential Louisiana Maritime High School, which could also function as a summer camp. That would provide some year-round use of a vacant building, bringing year-round focus to K-12 marine science. So all of this could be tied to linear use, but we got to start with what's existing first. And some people say, well, how can you house people? You could restore the three-story building. You could restore the three-story building that was demolished. And it would, as we said, provide instruction for high school students from across the state, helping us build human capacity. And then during the summer, you could bring in students from across the world. But then there's possibility for some new facilities, and that interpretive center that the LANERRs have, they have interpretive centers. It would talk about history, folklore, culture, people, indigenous and immigrant, wildlife, economy, environmental justice, challenges, And that interpretive center could also be a rest stop. But we know that 30 years ago, whatever was planned was not going to engage and interact. So we have to start thinking about virtual reality and digital displays to maximize learning. Because sometimes weather threatens and you can't get out to the habitat. Sometimes floodgates are closed and you can't get out. So it has to be highly engaging and enough to hold students' attention. So we want to really start by revisiting the work when DNR was responsible for the Delta and engage also what is known as the LSU Coastal Sustainability Studio. We'll see how that could be involved in just a minute. But when they talk about floating classrooms, this is kind of what they look like, because you don't want to take kids and put them back into a building. It doesn't do the Atchafalaya any justice. You can launch along the river, you can launch at the interpretive center, but you want to go Delta and Basin. You want to provide that experiential learning, authentic viewing, and once again, you got to really plan, because sometimes you're not going to be able to get out there. And then for Wax Lake, you wouldn't necessarily want to go pouring cement out there, a lot of cement. You want to maintain the pristine delta. That's what it looks like when you don't dredge. That's what the 30 years of leaving it alone looks like. And it's best informed by the people that have been doing the research there, not maybe us saying we can imagine it, because really it's hard for us to imagine. But the nice thing is that there's other things that are being planned, such as what the parish is doing with this resilience lab planning that they've been drawing down restore dollars for. And we don't know if that's going to be storm resilience, energy resilience, economic, or water. We don't know, because that's planning that's going to go on hopefully real soon, as Evan will talk about in a little bit. And then that residential maritime academy, once again, they're immersing kids from across the state at the high school level, providing them a pathway to post-secondary, which is going to provide opportunities to recruit those students to our community college, to our Nichols campus, to our LSU campus with coastal studies, but it's workforce, maritime. And then in the summer, you have access to kids, students that are much younger, and that you hope to engage their interest so that they want to participate in a maritime academy, so that they may want to pursue some of the offerings at the community college and also at the coastal colleges. And we know our access, we know this already. This is probably something that we don't have to spend a lot of time on, other than maybe we need a train depot so that teachers planning field trips here, because it's going to be a K through 12 epicenter in so many ways for maritime marine science. So all of this, I think, we don't really need to cover. But if it came down to just us imagine it, we want to push it a little harder. We would recommend that in the first management plan, which is written over a series of 4 to 5 years, that the money, that we should focus the dollars on alternative 1, because with finite resources, we can go and we can, look at different alternatives. Some of those alternatives, they're ready right now. They might just need marketing. They just might need connection. But we need to focus the dollars on alternative 1. And afterwards, find out what's missing, because you do revise it. And then you could include some of these other alternatives, alternative 2, the Marsh Isle and the McElhenney. But right now, they could be included by marketing, because I don't think some of them, and I don't know their finances, but we've been waiting 30 years, and now it's in front of us, and we really want to make sure what's being offered is first class. So this is kind of how we imagined it. We imagine our universities, Nichols, UL, LSU, Coastal Studies, LumCon, which is the consortium, the Deltaic Research, the Resilience Lab, the Interpretive Center, the Wildlife Management Area. We imagine it all coming together in a LANERR. Then we kind of start honing in. We hone in because we've got to have shade. We've got to have an area where it's protected. We've got to have an area to engage students when water is high. So we go back to the plan that was done 30 years ago, where they got that far. And we said, from what we can tell, that's the fit. That's the fit. However, we got to involve the LSU Coastal Design Studio because, as you can see, they've already done a lot of work. This is like 5-7 years old. They started imagining this before they had a way to fund it. Now there's a way to fund it, so it behooves us to take notice of what's been done already. And this was started under earlier administrations. I know Mayor Gazaffi was instrumental in asking them to come in and to kind of just do some, design work. So maybe we could capitalize on what's already been done. So here's some samples of kind of things that they came up with. But it's just a sample. It doesn't mean it fits us, but it's, it's a little dated now too. So engaging all our resources. And we want to kind of end this all with, it's not going to be a Delta NERR unless the resources are here. And we say here because this is where the Delta, this is why we got selected, right in here. World-class Atchafalaya Coastal Basin NERR merits all available dollars be directed in the Atchafalaya Coastal Basin, just like Governor Edwards recommended. The town halls also said we want it. Many of the town halls in areas said they didn't want it. They had people get up and say, we don't want any of that. So here's evidence of people saying, this is where we want it. And this is why we got selected. So the resources begin here. It's not a NERR unless Delta resources are here. So that's pretty much how we started imagining it. That's the overview. Comments from y'all.
I didn't realize it was 30 years in the making. That kind of shocked me. Didn't realize that. That's
How many people knew it was 30 years in the making? I know I was on the committee. Yep.
awesome. Wow. And it's here.
Yep.
I spoke to the governor about this, and Monica contacted me, and it had come down to there were 3 choices. One of them was eliminated immediately, but let me just say, Senator Allen and I talked to the governor and helped him to make this decision because of the work that has been done over those years. He did tell me that he's going to come and do a formal announcement one day soon. Just been busy, but the long range planning paid off. The long range plans that you sent in and all paid off, and it's what we do with it. And going forward, it's going to take some money from the state. I think Senator Allen, when I was in the House, he and I were a great partnership here, and his term ends next year. That's the bad news. The good news is his son's running to replace him, so there's a chance that we can have some continuity there. The possibilities here in Morgan City are infinite, but sometimes we don't ask enough. Sometimes we just have to ask. There are other places that go and ask, and they surprise me and they get things done. but sometimes you just have to ask. I don't have any idea who the new governor's gonna be, but we need to be on board with him or her whenever that starts and get this thing really rolling. I have a few other comments on something else and then I need to run.
Okay, shall we allow? Yeah, I think so. Okay, go ahead, please, Sam.
The bridge is almost finished, the Forever Bridge. And I got into an argument with the head of DOTD and said, you know, we won World War II quicker than we fixed this bridge.
Oh, wow.
And that's a fact. But that tends to be the way it goes. When I put this bridge in for repair, I put it in for the second bridge. The first bridge I thought was the most important one because it's so old. The old Huey Long, Old Canal Bridge. And he didn't have that one in there to be fixed. And so we had a big argument in front of the governor. And anyway, we now have a contract to fix the old bridge. The new bridge will open up. It'll be fully operational in the next couple of 3 weeks. We're going to shut the old bridge down completely and just do the work on it. There's a lot of pitting. There's a lot of structural improvements that need to be done there. So we're gonna do that. And I had a couple other things. Senator and I, we worked on that one for years, and finally that's going to happen. Something else that we've done, and it all ties into what the programs are that you're working on and doing. Oh, the marine training building that was built over at the Votech School. It's kind of like away from the main campus and it's over in the corner. And that was one that I was deeply involved in, and Senator Allen helped as well, where they didn't want us to have that school. The guy that wrote the bill to fund the schools, he included every school in the state except ours and the one in St. Charles Parish. And we had a big fight. I told him, if you send that bill over to the House, we're just going to kill it. And he hemmed and hawed and came back a few days later and included us. And then he said, well, y'all not going to get any money because y'all going to be the tail wagging the dog. Of course, I think everyone knows we got the second grant. And it was because of the ability of this community to raise the dollars to match what was needed to build that facility. It's a $3 million plus facility. And before the pandemic, we were training 7,000 pilots a year in the old building. And this was to be able to accommodate the new one. There was also a plan to build a dorm, I guess, for people that people are coming from Australia and every other place. And so that's kind of like taking a back, but it's starting to build up again. And as we go forward, we might need to think about a dorm for that building. And then also, I can help with the school that's in the proposal as we go forward with that. But I want to close in just saying Monica has been the source of a reawakening for our parish in Morgan City. And all of you who come here constantly are just a critical part of what it takes. Politicians can do so much. You know, they listen, they try to help, sometimes they don't, but the groundwork that comes from inside the community, that's what makes it fly, you know. And the love that you have for the city and for the area, I think has just been wonderful, and it's inspiring a lot of people. So thank you for inviting me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for coming.
I enjoy working with you.
Oh, good. Thanks for making it a priority. Thanks for making it a priority. We know how busy everybody is. Okay, thank you. Thank you. And we also thank Senator Allen for making those comments on behalf of getting the linear. That's so important because we can only get the ball so far. And somebody's got to run with it. So, all right, do you have any other comments on the presentation?
Just a couple. One is I see you had Keep St. Mary Beautiful up there under stewardship.
Yes.
And I'm on that committee, and we are working with the city of Morgan City to open a recycling center.
Yay, that's huge news. Thank you for bringing that. That's huge.
And we just might want to say a word about what went on yesterday in Houston for the Mr. Charlie.
Well, there was a clay shoot fundraiser put on by Murphy Oil.
Okay.
Got away some funds for renovations on Mr. Charlie.
What? Renovations are coming to the Mr. Charlie. Yay! Yay!
We're pretty excited about
And a
that.
recycling center in our area. Yay! Those are huge. Because you go to other cities and you say, why are we still having to put it and take it down under the bridge? They have it curbside.
And these guys pick it up and take care of it, and we just have to provide them with a place. And so it's going to be pretty neat.
Awesome. So when these visitors come in, we're going to look like we are a rockin' and rolling rural community that has it going in one of the greatest ecosystems in the world.
Great.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. All right. Purdue study. What's going on is the Water Institute of the Gulf, they had that workshop. Some of you came to the workshop, a resilience workshop, where they kind of started thinking, because we're pushing a resilience lab, we would be a good community to start looking at some flood risk mitigation measures. So they picked 3 communities along the coast. They picked us, they picked Slidell area, and they picked Cameron Parish to do a study. And we call it the Purdue study because one of their researchers, I want to call him Walter, because Walter. He is from Purdue, but he actually had a lot of input into the coastal master plan, Louisiana's coastal master plan. So they come into communities, they listen to us, and then it's going to help inform the coastal master plan, which is really a big deal. And at the bottom of the day, at the end of the day, it could result in a tiny reduction in flood insurance rates, not risk, rates. By our participation. So we're really, really excited. They don't want a huge group, but we're reaching out to make sure we have representation from Berwick, Morgan City, and Amelia. And then a special area, we're going to reach out to Stevensville, and that's why you see Mr. Brad here. Did Brad have to leave? But they're going to do a little community forum and listen to their needs. They've got the Bayou Shane thing now, and so it's just going to go on and on. So we're really excited to be able to host that, and it's going to inform the Coastal Master Plan, which is a big deal. And now we're standing out as a great place to come and to gather data on the coast. Any questions on that one?
I think that is wonderful. We are really having a tough time on the flood insurance side. So what I do is I'm originally insurance agent. I have my, license and everything. And I've noticed how much I don't know if you guys have looked at your flood insurance lately. Has anybody looked at it? I mean, really looked at it? It is really going up in some areas. Personally, mine's going up, I think, from like $1,700 to $5,000. And that is
House across the street from you?
Yes, ma'am, in our subdivision. Yes, ma'am. So look at your flood insurance policies, look at it really close. I'm not talking about the bottom line. Look up a little bit and see what it's going to go up to in a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
So I think that's amazing that they're doing that. We need some relief.
Okay. Good. Wow. One of the things that we did when they came down to scope us out is we kept going over the levees. Like we would go up on the Rousseau boat landing, we would go up, and after a while, going up, you think they know when they set these rates, but they really don't know. So we took them up, and now they're going to come and listen, and they're going to hear from people about the 100-year flood event and how we're just about finished. So hopefully that is informing, and then the insurance rate will adjust. But it also is a very good thing because the city has to go through things every year and make submissions And all of this is going to work together. So we're going to get with Anthony and make sure he's included on that, as well as Gary and Berwick, and we've got Mr. Duhon. We've invited Mr. Duhon and Mr. O'Quinn from Amelia, yes. So number 3 is the Maritime High School, and we really, Stephen Swiber is the chair of that. He's in Texas today, so he's not able to provide us any further additional update, but he'd really like to hear what Mr. Jones, Sam Jones has as far as support for that. But we really see it as a critical way to build commitment to people knowing about how we can grow the economy along the river. A maritime residential high school as a special school like Natchitoches really brings in additional people. It doesn't compete with your existing K-12 schools. It just brings in additional people. And it really allows that capacity building, that human capacity, giving people a job, a reason to stay as they grow their businesses, with all the things that are going to be taking with sediment and the diversions that are going on in the dredging. So no more to say on the Maritime High School, but now we've got Coastal Resilience Lab, and Mr. Boudreaux is ready.
Yeah, so just at the parish level, we've really been going back and forth with Treasury to try to get some information on when can we expect to start drawing down some of these funds. And I guess just with anything at the federal level, it takes a lot longer than we'd like. But I did reach out to some former coworkers with Senator Cassidy's office, start putting some more pressure on Treasury just to give us some response. However, that being said, with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act and the President Biden signing that, there's a lot more opportunities that I think the Coastal Resilience Lab will be able to tap into, specifically for the mitigation aspect and the research side of things. Most of this will not be direct dollars, but it would just pass off into either tax credits or tax savings. That's something that I do think that the Coastal Resilience Lab will be able to really benefit from. Lastly, we have had introductory talks with Nichols, the money that they're getting for their, I guess it's the Coastal Research Lab for help program. We have had talks with them, and Nichols has expressed an interest of being more of a hands-on partner. They do have a location in Port Fourchon, and we're looking at kind of structuring an agreement similar to that, where it'd be a financial partner as well as really providing more on the research side of things. And that's just in early development right now. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Great. That's great. You want to handle the next one?
Oh, okay. If you look at the next item on the agenda, we wanted to just quickly revisit the purpose of the local interest group, why we come here on a quarterly basis, and why we're disseminating this information. And I was speaking with Serena Garrett, who is the vice president now of Kiwanis, right? So we invite people from all over the community, members of every group, and all of our leaders to come in, and then we talk about the things that we've been getting done. And we're hoping that all of those people will go back, Rotary, go back to those groups and explain all of these things to the community so that we can get everybody on board. It worked well with the town hall. And this is the effort that we're trying to make, to get people involved so that they know what's going on, because it's kind of hard. We have different methods of communication. We have the newspaper, Facebook, Twitter, the television station. Us, we're getting old and decrepit, and we might have to use Facebook as well as everybody. So there's just so many things, so many different ways that people get information out, but there's almost too many ways. So that's why we do this. We just hope that the people that come, and we invite a lot of people to this meeting, we just hope that those people can go back and can just go back and say, this is what's happening, this is what we need to do, and if you have any ideas about things, communicate those ideas within your group and possibly spearhead your own methods of getting things done, because we can't just, us on the board, do it by ourselves. The LANERR, Louisiana National Historic Research Reserve, is such a big thing for our community. It's so much bigger than we can even imagine. And it's not something that is today. It's not going to be next year. We've been coming here we've been working since 2016. So this is 6 years just with Excel. So you just keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing, and you keep moving, and that's all you can do. But it's so big that as a community, we need to be ready, and we need to forget about politics, and we need to just focus on what we can do as people, as community. Because the politicians, the mayors, the senators, the governors, the presidents, they're not going to be here. They're not going to be the same people in maybe 10 years. And that's what happened with Sandra Thompson and the Atchafalaya Basin Project. People changed, and then it just kind of went away and got stuck into a drawer, and that's not what we want. So the only way to do that is to keep the community pumped up and keep people involved and go around and talk it out. So that's basically that's why we're here. And if you need any ideas on how to do that, or we're putting the meetings up as much as we can. We have on the Excel channel. We have every meeting so far, as many as we've taped, and we put them up there. We put the agendas up there. We put the PowerPoints up there. So those things are there to go back and look at to find out information. And if you need that information or to contact us, you have our contact information. So that's agenda 5.
Okay, and moving right along. Number 6, we completed the USDA business grant. It's done. I guess the biggest success is what Colleen's been doing over in Berwick with the food trucks. Yes. And the mayor, I even went by last night, the lines. Wow, it was so wonderful. And Catherine was there the night before. So, just having the confidence of virginity, I think that was a confidence builder, just don't build it big, start small, and look how it's growing. And then, I know you'll comment about it in just a minute because it's a big deal. It is a big deal. On the other end, we had money to help a couple of business people who are thinking about the development on Lake End Parkway. The way we help them is we allow them to envision what their businesses could look like as the city, offers things up with some infrastructure that they are planning. So, we were able to help businesses, we were able to help planning, but that grant is over. We've closed that one out. So we just wanted to recognize that. The videos that were created, they're still on the website. They're really good, especially on tax incentives and credits, to give to any businesses thinking that they want to take advantage of those. Those were created. Those are probably the best videos that out of all of them. Moving on to the next one, Atchafalaya National Heritage Grants Neighborhood Signage Update. You want to talk about that?
Do you have the picture?
Oh, yes, I do.
Put that up. We have the Atchafalaya National Heritage Grant is finished. We've gotten the money disseminated, and we have the signs up. You can see signs around town and in Berwick that the Atchafalaya National Heritage Foundation funded. And the reason we did this, of course, different different neighborhoods had purchased their own signs, and the signs, of course, you can see the symbols are the same. We wanted to create that unity in the community, as you would say, in Berwick and Morgan City. Berwick has the lighthouse. We have the Petroleum Festival heritage sign design, and you can see the different signs around town. And of course, some of the neighborhoods have signs already that were already in place, the historic district and places like that. And Berwick had a lot of signs already up. In fact, Berwick's signs were sort of our inspiration because they were doing so well with their signs in Berwick. And you can see on the left side, this was on Facebook, Stephanie Rhodes Martin. She was in front of her Clingsville sign She was all excited because that's where she grew up. And on the left side, that actually is a camp boat. Jamie Arnold at Elite Graphics, that's his grandpa's camp boat. That's his grandpa's house. And he was so excited to use that house on the sign when he designed it because that's where he grew up. So the people who live here can remember those feelings about their community. And so we thought that would be a wonderful effort. On the right side, Colleen posted this. She's a Morgan City girl who moved to Berwick, so she has the best of both worlds. I love all of these signs going up everywhere, back to my roots in Morgan City. Can't wait to go and see the sign where I grew up in Wyandotte, which I don't think is up yet, but it's coming.
It's made, they're waiting on the frame.
It's coming.
Where's it going, you said, the one at Elementary? I couldn't figure out where y'all were gonna put it.
It's right there by the ARP building. As you going in, there's 2 poles up right now,
Oh, okay.
and it's right there on the road, right before the school. So
So-
you see the little shrimp on one side, and you see a little schoolhouse with kids on the other side. And that's what took the time finding the schoolhouse.
Right.
So you'll be able to go take a picture of that one too, Colleen. And so she says, I saw the one at Sumter Williams, of course we have that one up too, where my siblings and I went to school, the coal chute. And it's just a wonderful thing to develop pride. Now other people can put new signs up, they can get their own signs for their neighborhood. They just have to come up with the money. The funding was actually to connect the bike trails, which we're waiting for, and we actually got some more money to complete the bike trail from Justin to Cajun Coast, and that's all in place. But one thing, the challenge is on the agenda, we were hoping that possibly, because we do have to get ready, we have to keep St. Mary beautiful. Bryce is on that committee. They were picking trash up. Oschner's was involved in that. All of the different groups were involved in that. In the area, recycle. We need to be ready for a LANERR, and we need to show that we love the community that we're in. And possibly we were looking at maybe the councils, Morgan City, Berwick. I know in Berwick it's an at-large council group. In Morgan City we have council districts. So basically every councilman represents a district in Morgan City. So there might be some possible, and maybe this could be something that a group could take on to spur competition, friendly competition among residents in different districts, and they can be recognized at the councils, at the meetings, and the things that they've done in their community, in their neighborhoods, to beautify their neighborhoods, or just to maybe have the grass cut. I'll just say, let's say it on our street in Auburn, we just cut the grass. I don't know, those are just some ideas, but that might be a challenge that we can issue. We said something about this, and Margaret said, well, we know Berwick's gonna kick Morgan City, so that's our challenge.
That's a good way. Instead of always, catching you when things aren't right, start recognizing when things are good. And there is a lot of good going on. Okay, at this time we thought we'd hear updates from our elected officials. So we'll start right here and pass the mic down to the mayor.
Thank you. Redundancy did one thing for us. It opened our eyes, and I really appreciate what Kevin and Monty, what they did here. We should remember the name that's in here so many times, and I know they helped Colleen make some decisions on what she was going to do. She's I want to say something about her.
You can do it.
I feel like a daddy, She comes up, daddy, I want some ice cream. Well, it's not just like that, okay? This is, her idea was this, and I know I probably need a rear end kicked for not doing something. She said, I'd like to see us finish the lighthouse where people could sleep in it. Now, I know you may not think there's much of that idea. Last night, I was at a football game. cooking French fries. And as a grandpa is supposed to do for their grandchildren that are in the band. And so anyway, guy comes up, and I see him all the time, and he tells me, I said, where you been, man? You know, you were late getting here. Oh, we've been sleeping on the boat. Well, I thought maybe it's a camp boat or something else. I said, what you mean? Yeah, they had been to the SS Kidd and went up there with their grandkids and slept up there on the boat. And I said, you do? He said, oh yeah, we go all over. We went to find places that's got those kinds of areas, and they go there with the grandkids and spend time and learn about like the kid. They learned about the kid and what it did, and it just you know. So maybe she had a really good idea there.
There you go.
So we're going to do it.
Boy, we got all kind of things going on.
But the food truck idea is certainly a grand one. And people have been coming out supporting it. Last night had a big night, and it's only going to get bigger because they're going to continue doing things. And I look for a, if not a beer wagon, but a beer truck. Okay. So people come out and they want to eat a sandwich. Not everybody wants to drink a Coke. They want an adult beverage. So we want to make sure that we can take care of those needs as well. So anyway, we're working on all those things, all those angles. And if you think of any ideas, address them to her. And she's our food truck person. And so as you mentioned, we do have a second lighthouse. I don't know if you all know this, but there's no other city or town in America that's got 2 lighthouses. We'll be a first.
That's big.
So
That's
I'm
big.
excited about that. One of these days, we're going to get it in here. It's just taking some time. That's really a big structure. They had a picture of it a while ago. The thing's like 130 feet tall. The one that's over there now is 34. That's a pretty good size. This one is 130 feet tall. So it's going to be something to see. And, you know, we're going to encompass a lot of the things that we're going to do with the lighthouses with our Brown House. If y'all been to the Brown House, it's our historic museum in Berwick. And if you've never been there, I'm telling you,
Oh, it's good.
it's you will enjoy it. That's all I can tell you. You can learn about Berwick and trapping and sugarcane farming and rice farming and everything that took place in Berwick since the beginning of time. And they've got it all documented. They've got all the oak trees in Berwick documented. They've just put so much work and effort into this. And we get a report once a month at our council meeting about history parts of Berwick. And we learned at our Tuesday night meeting that at one time there were 23 grocery stores in Berwick. It had its own newspaper. They had 5 hotels,
That's amazing.
4 seafood restaurants along the riverfront. It's just amazing what there was. There was 2,300 people living there at the time. Wasn't that many, but it was a lot of stuff going on. And I wish we had those days back. That's what I'm working towards. I'd like to have 23 grocery stores in Berwick right now. Even though they were mom and pop grocery stores, I think they would do a fair business. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll work towards it. One of the other things I'd like to see is a tour for the river itself, all the way out to the mouth of the river to the wildlife area there. If you've never been, how many people in here have been to the mouth of the river? How many? That's pretty good. But there are a lot of people that have never been there that would probably go sit on a boat, ride out to the mouth of the river, take a look. If y'all notice those pictures over there, There's two places in Louisiana that's growing land. We got both of them right here in St. Mary Parish. Calumet Cut, the Atchafalaya River are growing with leaps and bounds. You go out there now and if you hadn't been out there in 40, 50 years, you'll never recognize it. You will never recognize it because there's so much land there that's been built up and it's still continued to build up. So we have a lot to be thankful for with that. So I'd like to see a tour possibly, and that's one of the things that you know, that one other thing, I should have wrote all this down. I think I covered it all. But thank you. And, thank you all for taking part and being part of this.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm gonna see if Lou wants to talk on behalf of the city of Morgan City.
I love this office. Thank you. And Monica and Catherine, great job for everything y'all been doing over the years. And it's 30 years, and hopefully we'll have something before another 30 years, you know, whatever. If you ride through Morgan City, you'll see a few little things happening. There was some facade grants that was going around through the city. There's several buildings. Vita Paint is a big one that's been done. Looks very nice. There's a couple other ones next door to, I'll show my age, Landry and Seminole building. You know, that one's been fixed up. And there's several other ones. There's a couple little houses around town that's been done too. So that money's been put to good use. Unfortunately, we're out of money, so, but Evan tells me there's another pot we can go after with the state, so we're working on that for some other ones. The bridge, as Sam said, is finally almost done, thank goodness. So we'll go after the old bridge afterwards, and that'll be completely shut down, so hopefully no storms and paint shortages and everything else will be done. Thank you, Laura and Senator Allen and all that for that help. We're also working on the road through Highway 70 and also down through the middle of town from 182. As y'all know, years ago there was some stress cracks on the structures on the 4-lane. Evidently that's still an issue, so they're rerouting all the heavy traffic and heavy equipment through Morgan City, and it doesn't take but a rain shower to put ruts through the road, you see. So we need to get that done, and that'll help out a lot. We did have a great shrimp festival. We did not have to worry about a hurricane, thank goodness. We had a little rain, but it didn't seem to scare too many people away. There was no events canceled. The only thing moved was the mass in the park. So that was a good deal. Anyone going eastbound by your Ramis Bridge has been closed. They got signs now. You don't have to go all the way to LNG and turn around like I did a few times already. They're working on that. I'm not sure if it's the bridge or if it's the light itself. But there's had some malfunctions on the light, so stay on a new highway, don't go on the old highway for that. I would like to give a big shout out to Berwick, Colleen for sure for the food trucks and all, and Mayor Duval, y'all done a great job over there. I envy y'all because y'all got some stuff going on over there right now. And, you know, y'all come together, and the museum and everything else is really good. And just like Mayor Duval's got a dream for tours down the river, Billy Nungesser put on a program at the chamber a while back, and he showed the small tour ships coming through. And it's like work boats that are expanded and all that, and they're small enough where they could go through the lake, through the locks. And it'd be nice if we could get some to come down and start maybe in Baton Rouge or New Orleans, come down, come through here, stop here, go out and get to maybe play around the golf, go to the casino, you know, look around town and everything, come back, have a meal, get back on a boat and go. And it would bring people into town and all that. So we're going to try and push that idea a little bit. It's a long shot. It's just beginning, but it's something that we'd like to have. So thank you.
Thank you. And Carrie sends regrets. We did meet with her yesterday, though. She's fully on board, and Cajun Coast, anything they can do to advance the LANERR, very, very much in favor. And Beth, we're so happy you're here. So what's happening with the chamber? Oh no, we get our chamber blast all the time.
I am back in office officially. Monday was my first day back. The chamber's busy right now prepping for political forums. We have quite a few coming up. If you get the chamber blast, you'll be getting information in there. We're also posting it on our social media pages. But just a quick overview. They will be on Monday nights. A majority of them will have the possibility of 2 on Wednesday nights. September 26th is the school boards. It'll be at Patterson Civic Center. All of them will take place from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And we are accepting questions that'll be randomly selected for the moderators to present. October 3rd, it'll be at Tesh Theater in Franklin for Baldwin Mayor. There's a possibility of one on October 5th for the 3rd Congressional District. It'll be at Morgan City Auditorium. October 10th, Baldwin Chief of Police. October 17th, Baldwin Alderman. The 24th, Berwick Mayor at Berwick Civic Center. All of the Baldwin election political forums will take place at Tesh Theater in Franklin. And then we're waiting for a confirmation to see if we'll have one for the 6th Congressional District. That one will also take place in Morgan City, and it might be on October 12th. Just kind of stay up to date with our chamber Facebook page, and you'll be able to see updates on there. And our luncheon this month is on the 28th, which is the last Wednesday of the month, and our guest speaker is Louisiana's insurance commissioner. So he'll be, I'm sure he'll have a lot of questions. And then we're happy on October 1st, we're bringing back Bikers on the Bayou for the first time after 2 years.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, Tori, or yourself?
David, that's the last. One thing I did fail to mention is we've got a diamond in the rough out there, and I've looked at Kevin 3 or 4 times while I'm talking. Kevin Chauvin is our new park director at Lakeland Park, and I don't know what's going on this weekend, but he's fully booked. I don't know if they're coming to see his smiling face or we got something else going on. But he's done a great job out there, and it's something that living in Morgan City, you tend to forget about it until you ride through it. But it's really a cool place. Now we've got some jet skis and party barges out there, thanks to Jonathan Scully and all that. So it's been drawing people in, and it's a great thing. So thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, so Mac and Cindy apologize for not being here. They are attending the Corps of Engineers District Commander change of command in New Orleans, and it's going from Colonel Stephen Murphy to Colonel Crowell Jones. Both colonels came here last week for a transition visit with the Port, St. Mary Levy District, Parish, and city leaders who were invited to introduce themselves to the new colonel. In early June, the Port of Morgan City and other ports on the Atchafalaya and Red Rivers hosted a maritime roundtable with the assistance of the U.S. Maritime Administration with the objective of increasing waterway traffic. We are continuing to work to establish a designated marine highway project which would allow us to apply for landside infrastructure grants. And just an update on dredging, we have multiple dredging contracts being negotiated that will be providing 20 feet for Bayou Chene, the Atchafalaya River, and the Atchafalaya Bar Channel. Minimal dredging will take place in the Berwick Bay. You may see a dredge this weekend showing up. The Corps is working for alternatives to improve navigation through Stouts Pass.
Very good. Thank you. Evan would like it. One more time. Evan Woodruff.
Thank you. I just wanted to kind of say a few updates too on my end. I send out a quarterly report every quarter, but just here are the highlights. So within the last 6 months, I've really focused on working with expansion projects in our existing industries. So from that, we've had of our new existing industries, we've created 92 new full-time jobs, and that's not counting the contractors or part-time workers they're going to have. However, what I'm really impressed by is these expansion projects have resulted in an investment in St. Mary Parish of $175.4 million, which is, that's one of the largest investments that we've seen in quite some time. Lastly, So St. Mary Parish was part of a 25-member collaboration group spanning from GNO Inc. in New Orleans, Baton Rouge Area Chamber, all the way to Lafayette, on applying for a grant from the Economic Development Administration for the Build Back Better program. And we were one of 21 finalists out of 529 applicants that won $50 million to create a new energy cluster focusing on clean hydrogen. So our region is going to be a partnership between us, Nichols State, and UL and one Acadiana and whatnot, where our focus within the whole plan is to be business development, focusing on attracting and retaining these new energy businesses that are going to be coming to the area. So, I mean, this is a huge win for not just Louisiana or St. Mary Parish, but I mean, this is something that's going to really tie in well with the Resilience Lab and the NERR, I think. So, yeah, just wanted to kind of give that quick update.
Kevin, that $50 million. It's for St. Mary or for the whole?
It's for the collaboration. So there's 4 focus areas. So of the 50 million, we're whatever cluster that we're in, we'll get that dividend.
Hydro.
Clean hydrogen. Yeah.
Is hydroelectric included in that?
So we didn't specify like where do we want to go from it, but I mean I think everything's on the table.
They make that it's just a resource out there. I mean, a way to get tapped.
Oh, absolutely.
When you look at what they've done up North Louisiana, so the canals, turn them into hydropower.
Well, we met with a company a couple of weeks ago actually who wanted to basically do something like that, but they were looking at the Franklin Canal and essentially have these I don't know, turbines, but basically what you're saying. Right. So that's definitely something that we're interested in.
They cut specifically for the current that's in the water already.
Yeah.
It's a built-in current.
Absolutely.
There. And it's there every day. It doesn't like a slow down in the winter and go up in the summer. It's a constant current.
That's a good point, actually.
And talk to those people.
Absolutely.
I mean, and there's so much land along the Calumet Cut that they could get into.
That's the biggest aspect too, is just where it's located. I think that would really be a good.
All right, just gonna say, anyone else with comments for the whole group? One?
Actually, 2. The signs, the community signs that are up around town, for me, it really gives me a great sense of community pride. When you're driving through and you see the different signs for the different subdivisions of the community, it's been a great thing for me. I just really think it was a well done project. Just another quick update for Keep St. Mary Beautiful. We received a small check from Ken Perry, the Perry Fine Center. We had given them some of the butt cans that we have. We've been placing around the parish for cigarette butts. And we took that money and we had some small plaques made. We call it Above and Beyond. And we gave our first one to Rouse's for keeping the street clean down there on the side of Rouse's and where McDonald's is. So we have a few more of those to give out. So I think you can have all the money in the land and the desire to get somebody to come here as a business or tourism, and they drive through and see the town is not clean and the streets are dirty. They're just going to keep on going. So that's one of the number one things that we need to do, and it starts in my mind in the schools with the kids.
Okay. Anyone else? And anyone else online? I see either Pam or Dean. If you'd like to weigh in, just unmute if you'd like. All right, anyone here?
Really quickly before we wrap up, Mayor Duval talked about the Brown House, and we talked about all the beautiful things we have in St. Mary Parish. St. Mary XL, when we formed the group, we were focusing on East St. Mary, and we got the Urban Land Institute study to come in and study the riverfront, basically, and the lakefront. And so that's sort of where we started as far as branching out and trying to come up with ways to move the community forward. Not to exclude any other part of the parish, because the rest of the parish has some awesome things going on too. When you talked about the Brown House, the Patterson Museum, the golf course, again, the wildlife management. Franklin is doing some awesome things downtown. And then Baldwin, we went to the Chittimacha Reservation and spoke with the people there. And so the LANERR, it sort of brings us back to the tour boats, the lake, all of those things fit right into what we already have. We have it here. It all fits right into what we can show the country and what we actually can show the world, because with the National Estuary Research Reserve, the eyes of the world will focus on us, not just next door. So that's something to remember, and we have a special parish.
Well, once again, we thank everybody for making it a priority to be here. We'll meet again more than likely in January, so it's a long stretch, but there'll be a lot of work taking place. So thank you. Thank you.